how's this election year going to affect me? Well, if you allow it to, it will separate you from people that you consider friends, because it will try and separate us by race, sexual orientation, by faith, by left or right wing, you name it, because that is what they try and do during election years. And if you allow it to, they will achieve their goal, which is to keep people in a state of FUD. And so what can the citizen do? They need to understand that it doesn't matter if it's the old, cognitively declining, poor leadership, and quite honestly, sellout to this country of a leader, or the abrasive orange man who is hard charging, but maybe does not have the best track record in relating with people and calling them names. Whoever steps into that office, you have greater control of your own personal economy, your own personal mindset, your family, your own security. Because I know people are going to say, but what about the economy? What if I can control my mindset? I can control my health. I can control my family. But what about my money? These guys control my money. Your personal economy has greater impact on what you do, the skill sets that you bring, the problems that you solve in exchange for money. And so individually, I think if you allow the opposition, they will separate us.
Welcome to the Fitness CEO Podcast.
Hey, welcome back, friends, to another episode of the Fitness CEO Podcast. If you're new to the show, my name is Bryce Henson. I am your Fitness CEO, and here back in the studio in February, kicking off 2024, and I have my man, Bedros Keuilian, who, if you are new to our experience, he joins about once a month to kick off some good content so I can unpack his brain and we can dialogue a bit. So today's episode is about the future predictions of what 2024 is going to look like in our industry, first and foremost. But I also want to unpack just business and climate in general. Before we do, you've been in this game for a little bit of time.
Sure.
I want you to take us back and give our audience some insight. When did you get in the fitness industry, and what was the landscape like back in the day?
Yeah, so imagine this. The year was 1997, and I got certified by the American Council on Exercise as a personal trainer. And because I didn't know how to get, back then personal training was literally one-on-one, 60-minute sessions, workouts, and personal trainers sold 5 sessions and 10 sessions at a time. That was it. I didn't know of any personal trainer, and I started to network pretty quickly. I didn't know any of them that sold 30-minute sessions or 20, 30 sessions at a time, or did anything we do today at Fit Body Bootcamp, which is have clients on a membership, right, subscription to build the monthly MRR, monthly recurring revenue. Or do group training. I didn't know any of that. Didn't exist. The only thing you saw group training was in big box gyms, which included in your $9 a month membership back then, which was like the aerobics classes and things like that. But there was no accountability, no support, no customized programming. No one's going to call you if you don't show up for the workout. It was all on you. So that was the only extent of the group training program. So when I was a personal trainer in 1997, I could only market to the affluent. All personal trainers back then could market to the affluent. Up until like the early parts of 2020, 2003, 2004, you started seeing boot camps outdoors at parks, right? At the beach, at school parking lots. But even then, we saw that a lot here in Southern California because we live in a state where the weather is very permissible. It allows for year-round outdoor boot camps. And these same personal trainers like me that were doing one-on-one personal training in gyms and looking for exclusively for high-end affluent clients, because my smallest personal training package was $420 a month. And then the highest personal training package, which was 4 days a week, was nearly $1,000 a month. I mean, so you really have to be affluent to afford a one-on-one personal trainer to get in the fitness industry. Back then, gyms, like I said, on the low end were $9 a month. Higher end gyms were $39, $49 a month in the early 2000s. And if you were a gym, odds are you were paying rent, or I'm sorry, if you're a personal trainer, you were paying rent to a big box gym, right? It was rare for a big box gym to have their own employees as personal trainers. It just didn't happen. That got developed later. And so for a personal trainer then to make some more side money, we always kind of treated it like our redheaded stepchild, and we would run boot camps outdoors. And I, in fact, ran one out here in Chino Hills, about a mile and a half down this road, Butterfield Ranch, mile and a half from our headquarters, Butterfield Ranch Park, and I ran a boot camp. And in fact, Leighton, who works with us, his mom was one of my first boot camp clients. And I charged $299 a month for outdoor boot camp. To me, that was much more affordable than $400 to $1,000 a month for one-on-one personal training. Now, the drawback was, yeah, you're outdoors. There's not a lot of equipment. I would bring like a big, giant Rubbermaid Tupperware container full of like dumbbells, like 5, 8, and 10-pound dumbbells, and then some workout bands, and that was the extent of the equipment. The rest of it was body weight. The rest of it was running up and down the hills in the park, but it took place at Butterfield Ranch Park. Back then, again, the idea of boot camps was strictly outdoors. It was like part of your side gig to make a little more extra money. You were not considered a legitimate personal trainer if you did boot camps or any kind of group personal training, because the whole idea, and I can't tell you how many times I would hear this, the whole idea of personal training is for it to be personal, right? I do remember thinking back then, well, why is it that an NFL coach can work with these high-performing athletes in a group environment, yet we're just taking Mr. and Mrs. Jones and teaching them how to eat right and have some movement of their bodies, yet it has to be personal. I mean, you would think if anyone should work personally, it should be the
opposite.
Pro athletes.
Yeah.
Exactly, with those coaches, like specific to your length of limbs and your body's ability to lift and sprint and catch and run and hand-eye coordination, but that's not the case. And so that, to me, already proved the concept of group training to be a legitimate thing. I just hadn't figured out yet how to take it from outdoors and bring it indoors. But I did catch one magical thing about it. I realized, one, only states that are like California, maybe even Arizona, Florida, that are permissible in terms of temperament, Georgia, where you could run year-round outdoor boot camps. Rest of the states, you're only doing that when the weather's like sunny and warm.
Yeah, and even then, I mean, shoot, like California not only has warm weather, but dry weather. Even like Florida and
Right.
some of the other states. Yeah, you have warm weather. However, it's still rainy half the time.
Yeah.
So it poses some pretty big challenges.
But the big aha that hit me, Bryce, back then, which then was like if this was the acorn, what I'm about to share with you, the oak tree became Fit Body Boot Camp. That's what Fit Body Boot Camp is. And the acorn was, holy cow, this outdoor boot camp that I'm running here has made working out at a certain time of the day affordable and convenient. Because you think of one-on-one personal training, if Bryce wants to work out at 8 a.m., I can't take on any more clients for that 1 hour block.
Yep.
You can come at 7 a.m., you can come at 9 a.m., but Bryce Henson has the 8 a.m. time slot. Whereas with boot camp, I realized, man, I'm running a 8 a.m. boot camp and a 9 a.m. boot camp, and I can have 30 people in here at once. And I could charge all of them significantly less than I do with one-on-one personal training, yet I can personally make significantly more because it's one of me and many of them. So I cracked this code of, I think we just made fitness, fat loss, affordable and more convenient. Now you fast forward 20 years. You look at Uber, you look at DoorDash, you look at any of those like hotels.com, anything that you could do on an app, right? Amazon. Everything that I just mentioned here has become successful because it made it affordable and convenient. And when you can make something affordable and more convenient, it will grow, assuming that you can still deliver the results as expected or as promised. And that's what we've been able to do with Fit Body Boot Camp, move it indoor, make it affordable and convenient. But when I started, man, personal training in my time was like literally you're either affluent or you're the rich and famous. Maybe the studio would buy you a personal trainer so you can get ready for this particular role you're going to play. But it wasn't like every person on the street would have a personal trainer. And therefore, gyms were like, hey, if you're a personal trainer, you can pay us rent, but we're not going to hire you because there's not enough people in this gym to justify payroll. Can you believe that?
Dude, man, that's a trip.
Times have changed, man.
They have, man.
Yeah.
2 decades later, here we are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate that foundation. And now as we look ahead, just although before we get to that, just in the last few years, our industry has changed so much. I mean,
Yeah.
the world, the business climate, the political climate. We're going to talk all about that today.
Yeah, well, since the pandemic, right? Since
Oh, yeah.
COVID, we've seen literally trends come and go in our industry.
We have,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll talk a little bit more technology and kind of where you see that coming in. But big picture, B, what do you think is going to be on the horizon in 2024, specifically to fitness? And then I want to actually bring it out just in business. in
Yeah,
general.
yeah. Well, I think specifically to fitness, what was proven, because I can't tell you, and I'm sure you've heard this a lot. How often do you hear like, "Hey, is Fit Body Bootcamp a trend?" Like, what if this whole group training thing is a trend, right? It's like, no, it's not. And we were able to prove it because of COVID. Remember when COVID hit, gyms were shut down. People had to work out at home. We saw obesity rates go up. We saw depression rates go up. We saw suicide rates go up. We saw anxiety rates go up. And it wasn't like people didn't have access to YouTube videos to work out for free. It's not like they didn't have access to a park or to go outside or in their backyard and work out. Turns out people do need other people. We are social, tribal. We are tribal creatures. We do want accountability, support, motivation, guidance, programming specific to our needs and wants. It helps to have someone waiting for you, as it turns out, right? When you set an appointment to show up to a session and have knowing that they're going to call you if you don't show up. And so what 2020 proved is that we do need to be together. Workouts take place best. People exercise more when they are in a friendly, competitive environment.
I mean, even your example a second ago, even till this day, NFL, NBA athletes, they work out in small group training. Like the creme de la creme, the top of the top, because that competitive nature brings the best out.
Yeah. In fact, our dear friend Tim Grover, who works with some of the top athletes across he was Michael Jordan's personal trainer, Kobe Bryant's personal trainer, Dwayne Wade's, Charles Barkley's personal trainer. He worked with them on an individual or on a group basis, in terms of his gym, because he found that also there is a beauty in the competitiveness. Number one, number two, that he could leverage his time better. Like, what's to say that I can't train you and Pablo and Lauren at the same time? Great, you guys are individuals. It's not like I'm so deficient in my faculties that I could only focus on one person, right? Yeah,
And it's actually even better too, because I'm, jumping in the personal training space. When you're just one-on-one,
Yeah.
okay, you set the guidance, and it can be a little awkward if it's just you and them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So at least when you have more people, it's better for the clients, even from that perspective. And the coach, can provide the guidance, provide the encouragement, and then get out of the way and focus on some others and then check back in. So it works better across the board.
Yeah. And think how often people just end up making friends when they come at the same session times, same number of weeks. They end up making lifelong friends, right? Again, going back to community, that we're tribal, tribal beings. And we do need that accountability, support, and specialized attention. And so what 2020 proved and what's been proven now and as we go into 2024 is that workouts are better off taking place outside of your home. Because what does your home do? It provides distractions and excuses to not work out. Well, people never clean their house, but the moment they're about to work out and exercise, like, you know what, I should probably dust all the furniture and all the things first before I clean, because it just provides a reason for an excuse,
Totally.
a way out. And I believe that if you take a journey, and Joseph Campbell talks about this in his book, and the whole Star Wars movie was built on Joseph Campbell's theory of the hero's journey. The hero must leave their hometown to go and transform and change and then come back, right? That was Luke Skywalker's journey. That was what Star Wars was based on, Joseph Campbell's writings. Well, you can literally dilute that down to an individual who wants to work out and be fit. Leave your home. Leave the place of comfort. Leave the place of familiarity. Leave the place that's going to give you the excuses to not work out, and go to a place that you've got an appointment to show up, right? You've got people waiting on you, and you've got a program that's going to be challenging, not impossible, but challenging enough to actually give you results. Because we all know if you did end up working out at home, you're probably not pushing yourself anywhere near as hard as you would push yourself when you're in an environment that's timed, that's encouraged, and you have positive peer pressure.
Amen.
Yeah. And so that is, you can 2024, 2034, 2054, what I'm saying today, you can just replay a decade from now and 2 decades from now, because until humans somehow become non-tribal and isolated, which we saw in 2020, that isolation just increases depression, anxiety, and obesity, it just doesn't work.
Amen to that. And I mean, B, on my notes here, coaching, humans are tribal, connectivity, relationships. I put on condensed programming and following your lead. You know, you had the vision years ago.
Yeah.
And, up until even a few years ago, you have still I saw in the marketplace, our programs are hour and a half long. And now we're even seeing some of our competitors kind of follow suit, because it's not the amount of time you're there. It's really about the quality intensity that you're working out.
Bingo.
And the one last thing that I wanted to add on that, and we've seen this over the last few years, which the trend is only going to continue, is boomers, the maturing population. And here at FitBody, I mean, we launched our FitBody Forever program a few years ago, right on the heels of COVID. And this past year, I mean, we enrolled over 50 of our franchise partners to latch onto the program, and on average are making 6 figures and more on a monthly, not on a monthly basis, six figures throughout the course of the year. Which just goes to show it's a hugely underserviced market. So all these things and more, I think, is really where we're going in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, just think about that alone, right? The aging adult and the baby boomer market, and now that I'm 49, pushing half a century, I think I fall in that aging adult market. I think I do. And I realize that, okay, if I'm 49 now, at 59, my programming might have to change the way I work out, because I do want to continue to be active. I do want to be fully involved in my kids' lives and go on hikes with the family and do fun and hard things. I do want to jump off a boat into the Mediterranean Ocean. All those things that I do now, I want to do at 59, 69, 79 and beyond.
Yeah.
And baby boomers, they are the generation that remember, they are the 5th largest economy. Right? People forget that baby boomers are the 5th largest economy. And they proclaim that we don't want to just kind of go into an old folks home and slowly wither away and die. We want to stay functional. We want to hike. We want to go climb glaciers. We want to go on mountain bike rides. And it was for that reason that we decided that what they run in those big box gyms, I think it's called the Silver Sneakers program. And listen, I'm not here to poop on the Silver Sneakers program, but in many ways I'm about to, because you can't take someone who is aging and losing proprioception and balance and encourage them to lose more proprioception and balance by sitting them down on a chair and having them do bicep curls and seated shoulder presses. In fact, we need to do the opposite. Like at 49 now, I do more single-legged exercises, standing up single-legged exercises with head up and eyes closed, because I realize I am losing proprioception. I felt about 2 years ago, at 47, I felt that, do you remember when Ray and the team came to my house and we did a whole HQ-wide thing where we spin and spin and spin in a circle with our eyes closed, and then you open your eyes and you're supposed to walk towards that person? Yeah.
There's a little competition.
Yeah. And I made like a sharp left-hand turn and just kept going the wrong direction, right?
B.
Yeah.
Over here, bud.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason is because as we do get older, we start losing proprioception and a sense of balance. You can gain it back. It is just like any other muscle. You can train yourself. You can train your brain. And so now part of my meathead workouts, like as soon as no one's looking in the gym, I'm doing lighter weight, eyes closed, head up, single leg, balance-based stuff that are going to help me build that. Because how often do we hear about someone, Chick Hearn, let's use him. This is, I know, decades ago, but Chick Hearn, he was the announcer for the Lakers. The poor man, he was in great shape in terms of health. But because he didn't have his balance and proprioception, he just went on a little footstool, 2 steps, went on a footstool to water a plant, lost his balance, fell, whacked his head, and died.
You kidding me?
No.
Oh, wow.
Right? Like he was the voice of the Lakers on radio and TV. And I share that because that is what we fix in Fit Body Bootcamp with our program specifically designed for aging adults and boomers. And if you want to be physically fit and active and ride bikes and climb and hike, to pick up your grandkids and unload groceries and not be dependent on an old folks home, you're not going to have to sit down and just, in what world do you sit down and do shoulder presses? And you don't.
Yeah.
We're normally up on our legs and feet and doing things at different planes, different angles. Sometimes our eyes closed or the sun gets in your eyes or there's sweat in your eyes, and for a moment you don't have vision. You need balance. I do so much research on it now because I realize this next part of my training for me personally, is going to involve a lot of proprioception and balance. I'm like, oh, this is what my older clients were asking me for, right? And this is what we've built with FitBody Forever. And to the point you just made, just so happens that it adds another $100,000 a year on average.
On average.
To the bottom line of that Fit Body Bootcamp location. What a gift that is.
Totally. And it's just an underserved market. So that trend will continue. And then as we know, as you age, you lose muscle mass.
Right.
And which is a travesty. In fact, our friend, you were just actually at her conference, Dr. L. Gabrielle Lyon, just wrote a book, Forever Strong, just about the importance and need to actually continue to develop lean muscle, because that is the secret sauce to have with health, longevity, to fight obesity, et cetera. So good things ahead.
And I believe she calls muscle the organ of longevity. And when you hear something a certain way, it hits. Muscle, the organ of longevity, which is true.
Yeah.
Bone density is a byproduct of having more muscle mass, right? Higher bone density. As it turns out, you can fight off Alzheimer's and dementia. As it turns out, you recover better, faster from injuries when you have more muscle mass.
Yep.
And so, yes, I just did a whole diatribe on proprioception and balance, but also building that muscle and maintaining that muscle throughout those twilight years of life. Massively valuable. And that is a trend that will continue, because I believe the baby boomers and the aging adults and this next generation to come, millennials, as they get older, they put a lot more value on their health and quality of life. They don't just want to be in a factory smoking a cigarette and working on a transmission on an assembly line. Those days are gone. They understand quality of life, and they understand quality of life is also a byproduct of their health. And I applaud them for that.
All right, one of the last big topics, I got a couple more left, but in terms of trends, would be just technology and AI. And we've heard the buzzword. Our man, Mr. Musk, has been talking about it for quite some time. Man, you're like a visionary, and I feel like from the very beginning, ever since I've known you, and even more with High Tech Trainer, you've always been really technology focused. So I want to unpack your thoughts in terms of where AI is going into the industry and the business climate. So why don't you start there, and I have some additional things to lay down.
Well, I think one of the best ways, I love metaphors and drawing word pictures. So, we know that there's some real good supplements out there that work, right? We know, like, if you're working out and exercising and you're going to eat a low-calorie diet, you want to take a high-protein supplement, whether it's plant-based or whey-based, as in dairy cow-based. You need to increase your protein intake. If you're working out, you want to increase muscle mass while you're burning fat, right? Because your body doesn't, as soon as you go into caloric deficit, the body unfortunately wants to let go of muscle first instead of fat. So you have to increase your protein. So we know protein is a good supplement.
Yep.
We know creatine, it's proven, is a good supplement. We know that fish oils, great supplement. All these things help in the building and recovery of muscle in what we do to help reduce fat, increase muscle tone, therefore have a better overall healthy state body. Well, if a person didn't work out and they just took those supplements, creatine, fish oil, and extra protein, it wouldn't work as advertised because the biggest fundamental thing is missing. A proper workout that's intense enough to break down enough muscle, increase cardiovascular output, so that the protein, fish oils, creatine put back in as building blocks can rebuild those muscles bigger and stronger for the next workout. So our job is to break down muscle with workouts that are intense enough, which is why we get sores, those microscopic tears in the muscle fiber. But I share that because supplements are just that. They supplement a great training program. Well, technology and AI and those wearable, trackable doodads, they just supplement, or the Pelotons or they just supplement a great workout, a great program. It's rare that you're going to get on a Peloton, and which is why you see their stock prices plummeting right now, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to actually pull some notes here. In January 2021, Peloton had a stock price of $160 per share. Be today a whopping $5.
$5.
Bowflex, another example. My second one, $30 a share in 2021 of January, so 3 years ago. And then it's 50 cents today.
50 cents, Bowflex. Let's just say that again. It was $30 a share for Bowflex, which is an at-home workout machine doodad contraption. And by the way, that was 2021, which was on the heels of the pandemic,
Yep.
and everybody wanted to get at-home workout stuff thinking they would work out. Well, if they continued to use it, continued to work out, the stock price would still be $30, $40, $50 a share.
Sure.
Instead, it's 50 cents a share right now. Cents. Quickly on its way to the grave, probably. I mean, where's it going to go from there, right? And so we know this because we know that nothing beats, again, the hero's journey. Leave your house, go to a designated place, have a great workout where you have positive peer pressure, competitiveness, a program that's designed for your specific goals and outlines, and then supplement with the supplements and technology. Yeah, wear the trackable thing to see about how much calories you burnt. Wear the trackable thing to see where your heart rate was. Wear the trackable thing to see how many steps you took today. But if all you're relying is on the technology or the supplements, sans workout, an intense workout to get the results, then sorry, you just spent money to still stay fat and tired and sick.
Yeah, that is so true. And it's interesting. I was reading something, watching an analogy of Tiger Woods the other day, and he was talking about Coach analyzing Tiger Woods and all the equipment. He actually just, I guess, parted ways with Nike after like a 20-year run. And I think that was the article speared that. And while, Tiger has been outfitted with all the gear, all the clubs, at the end of the day, okay, you take Tiger Woods and you put any club in his hand, he's going to hit it like a pro.
Yeah.
The opposite is true. A novice who has no experience, has the best club, Tiger Woods Nike sponsored club, is going to get out in the range and they're going to fare miserably.
Right.
Because it's the person behind the technology.
Right.
The technology advances, enhances that experience, but really it's the fundamental person behind that engine.
And sadly, look, everyone's looking for the shortcut, right? Everyone's looking for the fact that I can just roll out of bed, jump onto my little doodad machine that's sitting in the corner of my room, look at the screen, and be so motivated, because that's what the commercial shows. You just jumped out of bed, took a sip of water, you jumped on that Peloton or Bowflex or whatever the mirror machine is, and you're going to do it, and you're going to go at full intensity, and you're going to be consistent. That is not how humans operate. We wake up, and then we start negotiating with ourselves. I don't want to do this. I don't feel like it. I'm tired. It's too cold. I didn't sleep well. I had a nightmare. Grandma came and visited me, and I hate that bitch. Whatever the line is, right? And therefore, I'm not going to do this exercise today. In fact, I'm going to roll right back into bed and sleep for another hour.
And tomorrow's the day.
Tomorrow's the day, right? When in reality, just go do the hard thing. It's always the hard thing that ends up producing the best results.
All right, my friend, to finish off, and this is going to be a big one, but I think it's important, and I've been coaching our franchise partners since the beginning of the year because we have an election year.
We do.
From my perspective, I think it's going to be a very bullish, big, awesome year for FitBody and the businesses that we operate. I think it's going to be a very chaotic year, a very highly emotional-driven year. I mean, we have a president right now who, arguably is in cognitive decline, has very poor leadership skills, and, struggling in many ways, right? And you have another candidate, our former president, who has a very hard-charging, very abrasive way to communicate that just fires people up. And whether the media will ever admit this or not, they freaking love that guy because he just cranks ratings. Now, because of that, though, media loves chaos. They love selling fear. And when you have basically these ingredients, kind of merging after a wild ride a few years ago, I believe that, media is going to drive high emotions, and, that's going to be felt across humanity, not just, throughout here in the States, throughout humanity. And we've seen the conflict and all these things that have erupted the last few years. So with that in mind, I think that's going to affect our business climate. But I'm curious from your perspective, what does that look like to you in 2024?
Yeah, so I'll talk about the business climate right after I talk about the individual's climate, right? The individual American who is like, how's this election year going to affect me? Well, if you allow it to, it will separate you from people that you consider friends, because it will try and separate us by race, by sexual orientation, by faith, by left or right wing. They will try and separate us by belief systems, by color and creed, you name it, because that is what they try and do during election years. And if you allow it to, they will achieve their goal. Who are they? They are the opposition. They are big government, left or right. They have a unified goal, which is to keep people in a state of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Because when they can keep the citizens in a state of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, that is when they have the greatest amount of control and compliance over the citizens. And so what can the citizen do? They need to understand that it doesn't matter if it's the old, cognitively declining, poor leadership, and quite honestly, sellout to this country of a leader, Biden, or the abrasive orange man who is hard charging, but maybe does not have the best track record in relating with people and calling them names. Whoever steps into that office, you have greater control of your own personal economy, your own personal mindset, your family, your own security, because I believe that if anyone lives by the 3 C's, control what you can, cope with what you can't control, and concentrate on what counts. So if you realize, what are the things that I can control? Well, I can control what time I go to bed, what time I wake up, what I eat, how I work out, how I relate to my friends and family, the positive mental attitude that I keep. How much CNN or Fox News am I going to watch? Maybe none. Am I going to screen suck and leave all cap angry comments on someone's point of view on a social media platform because they love Biden or Trump? Or am I just going to focus on my own internal locus of control, the things that I actually have control over? Maybe I could spend all that time that I was going to screen suck on CNN and social media and Fox News, and maybe I can actually increase my self-worth at the company that I work and ask for a raise. I could even increase my economy. I could actually control my economy.
Sorry, B. I was just so fired. Might not be a bad idea, my
Right?
friend. You know, that's probably a good
Think about
focus.
that. Because I know what people are going to say, but what about the economy? What if I can control my mindset? I can control my health. I can control my family. I can control my health. But what about my money? These guys control my money. You have greater control over your money than if Nixon or Jimmy Carter came back to life. Well, Jimmy Carter's still alive. If Nixon came back to life and Jimmy Carter went back into office, one is the other guy's VP, and they were, I think, arguably some of the worst on the economy of this country, although Biden's, I think, the top front runner now. Your personal economy has greater impact on what you do, the skill sets that you bring, the problems that you solve in exchange for money. And so individually, I think if you allow the opposition, they will separate us. On a business front, we have proven, no matter how many elections, because Fit Body Bootcamp has been around since 2011. 2012, we franchised, but late 2010 is when I launched it as a licensing program. 2012, we became a franchise. So we've been around through enough election cycles.
Yeah. 4 now.
Yep. So 4 election cycles, the pandemic, the housing market crash of 2008, because I launched it in the middle of the housing market crash. When everyone,
recession,
yeah.
baby.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone said, hey, we've got double-digit unemployment rates in the United States. Who is going to open up a gym? I said, trust me, there's enough optimistic, positive people who are health-focused that are willing to open up a gym, and there's enough positive, optimistic, health-focused people that are willing to pay a gym to give them a proper workout and not just have access to a big box gym and not know what to do. That was the whole premise of Fit Body Bootcamp. Like, I know that money never disappears. It is just exchanges hands. I just need to find who's got the money and who shares my belief system and say, hey, do you want to partner up and open up a Fit Body Bootcamp in your town? And I bet we can find a few hundred people in your town to pay $199 a month to come and work out there and get amazing results and be in a positive environment where change actually takes place and we're not just hand-wringing over fear and uncertainty and doubt. We found enough of these hundreds of people where we are a brand that not only was able to exist, but let's face it, we actually sold new locations throughout the pandemic. Wasn't much. Not like we normally do. It was 6 or 7.
Yeah,
right?
It's 2020. It was 6 souls. I'm like giving you a nod
Yeah.
to know that, things were going to come around, which is incredible.
Yeah. So in terms of the business front, and I'm speaking specifically towards our business, the business of Fit Body Bootcamp, like those that run Fit Body Bootcamps, they're going to do just fine.
Totally.
Here at corporate office, we're going to do just fine in this upcoming election year. And those who are entrepreneurs and they're just listening to this because they love the value that you provide on this show, and they're like, man, I want to know what like Bryce and Bedros are thinking. Like if you follow the 3 C's, control what you can, cope with what you can't control, and concentrate on what counts, you will thrive throughout this election year, even when because there's going to be riots, Black Lives Matter, Antifa.
It's coming, baby.
Yeah. They're going to separate us, cops, haters, cop lovers. Maybe they'll bring on a new vaccine because why not? Let's take the 18th booster
Let's
and see
go.
what happens to your heart. Right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, you and I have greater control over our mental, physical, and financial state more than anybody in political office.
Amen to that, B.
Yeah.
I mean, control what you control, focus on your mindset, strengthen it. Stoic philosophy is a good place to start.
Yeah.
That is the coaching to our team, to our franchise partners, to our clients. And it's important. You got to put that on the table. We're leaders of our organization, our community, and our world. So it's a good dialogue to have.
Yes, sir.
All right, my dude. This is what I had prepared today. Appreciate you. Anything else before we wrap for today?
I think if there's any one thing that anyone listening to this, if you're like, you know what, I am on board with what Bryce and Bedros just said, I think they have a duty and an obligation to then share this mindset, this new belief system that you just adopted with at least one other person, because that is how we end up saving this amazing country of ours.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate you, B. I'll see you next month. And friends, you got an awesome value. Share this video. Like it if you got value. And as always, no one is coming to save you. You must save yourself. And the time is now. We'll see you in the next episode.